I'm here today with Managing Director Ian Chalmers of Alkane Resources. How are you today, Ian?
Good morning, Tracy. I'm great, thank you.
Ian, this is you've had a number of announcements recently, but I think what caught my eye was your increased percentage for rare earth recoveries. Do you want to start with that? Because you just recently updated all your shareholders.
Yeah, look, it was great. We've been working for probably 6 or 8 months at ANSTO on the process, trying to get the process right, improve it. And yes, the latest recoveries were substantial. Lights were up about 17%, and heavies were up about 44%, and from about 900 tonnes a year to 1,300 tonnes a year of heavies. And the market completely missed that small increase. And particularly, it gives us about another $40 to $50 million a year revenue, but just a minor thing that nobody noticed.
Okay, well, we already have we're close to revenue, are we not, with your gold, the gold aspect of Alkane Resources and the Tamingli project?
Yeah. Yes, we're about 2 months away from production. The plant's about 95% built. We start commissioning in a few weeks' time. We'll commission through January and then full production in February. So it's going to be great to see that.
So once you have production, you're going to have revenue coming from the gold, and of course you also have zirconium and niobium. Is that correct, Ian?
That's correct. Yeah, revenue from the gold, that keeps us going, keeps paying the bills while we keep working to get the Dubbo project up. And yeah, long term, yes, we've got zirconium and niobium plus the rare earth revenue coming out of Dubbo.
And I just want to back you up. Now, I know that you've been attending a number of the rare earth and the international zirconium conferences, for instance. Can you give us a highlight of what you've been speaking to these audiences with regards to Alkane Resources?
We did 2 conferences as well as sort of a marketing trip into Japan and Korea, but the conferences were in Hong Kong simultaneously, unfortunately. But there was a zircon ilmenite rutile conference that we presented at. Obviously, the zircon connection very important for us, and then the rare earth conference in Hong Kong, and very interesting indeed. I guess still markets are still a little depressed, and people are a little bit nervous about the future. But a lot of positive too. A lot of positive saying 2014 will be a much better year. And we look forward to that.
Well, thank you for reading my mind, Ian, because that's what I was going to ask you next. And I do want your professional opinion, because you are a leader in our industry. With regards to what's happening with the rare earth prices right now, I just confirmed this morning that the Rare Earth Leaders Index was again at an all-time low last night. And I just want to ask you, are we finally at the bottom, Ian? How much further do you think we have to go?
I think it's going to take a little bit longer. I think maybe into next year, 2014, maybe the middle of the year, when we start to see things start to turn around properly. What we've gathered over the last 12 months is there were a lot of inventories that were built up by various consumers, and they're slowly being worn down, slowly being taken up. So people should start buying again as we go into 2014, but I think it'll take right to the middle of the year before we start seeing that impacting on prices.
In addition to attending a number of conferences, we have heard on the rumor mill that you have been speaking to some government officials, potentially about joint venture opportunities, or can you give us a little bit more feedback on what we're hearing?
It's a little bit hard because a lot of it's fairly commercially sensitive, but we did go into Japan and Korea. And yes, we've spoken to various government departments in both places. We've spoken to many consumers and particularly partners that we're working with in Japan as well. So just getting a good feel, get a good understanding. And what's really encouraging to hear is that both of those countries have still a very strong commitment to these strategic or critical metals that are non-Chinese supplies. So it gives us still a lot of options going forward that those guys, the Japanese and Koreans, will still be big players.
Of course, with our market being at an all-time low right now, and if new investors are coming and being attracted to this market, seeking good investment opportunities, for those new investors, Ian, would you mind explaining a little bit more about Alkane's position? Because you, of course, are in our top 5 leaders in the world, especially in the race to production for rare earths, and you're nearly completely vertically integrated with your present business model. Can you give us a bit of an overview for our new audience members?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll give you a snapshot of it. Basically, the Dubbo Zirconia Project, which is our major lead project, the gold is good. The gold is a nice bread and butter business, but the Zirconia Project is the key going forward for us. We're still 2 years away from really getting close to development, but a lot of hard work's gone into the last 14 years because we've got a very strong process. We've run a feasibility study. We've had a pilot plant operating now for 5 years. And that's helped us get offtake agreements in place, or MOUs or letters of intent. So yes, we'll become an interesting producer of zirconium, niobium, light rare earths and heavy rare earths. So we've got a fairly full spectrum. And the nice thing about that revenue stream is it's fairly even right across the four outputs. We're not governed by heavy rare earths or light rare earths or zirconium. We get a revenue distribution across the whole spectrum, and that's a nice place to be.
Okay, so one more question. When should we expect production of rare earths?
I believe 2016. I think realistically it'll take us 2014 to put government approvals in place, put all the financing in place. It's still $1 billion project. Go to construction, it's about an 18-month construct. So that has us in production in 2016. So maybe Q1 2016 at this stage.
Again, Ian, it's a pleasure to speak with you, and thank you for the excellent update.